So I just made a video talking about Romans 2, verses 1 through probably like 6. And I was reading right above that my Bible that is highlighted. So I read it to see like what did I highlight? So I remembered that there was a verse in the Bible that talks about just the evil things that people do that ends with God giving them over to a debased mind. Okay, and so I wanted to just have a reference to what the Bible describes, as evil, and 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 so I read it, and it goes like this. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who, knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. So, it's just like hitting me. It's hitting me like how this fits into life. And sometimes we read this and we remove ourselves from it, even though knowing that these are the things that people who are not saved, no, people who are not believers, this is what they do. This is how humans act without the refinement of God governing their lives. And even with God governing their lives, people are still capable of these things and people still do these things. And a lot of people who claim to be religious have been given over to their debauchery, their debased minds. And and when we read chapter 2, which is what I just read in the last video, we see that we do not get to stand in judgment. We do not get to stand in judgment of those people, even though, like, just a lot of times, and something that a lot of people are going through is just situations where they're being oppressed by people. They're being oppressed by other people's evil, um, their evil doings. They're evil. We're surrounded by wicked and evil people, and and there comes a time when you have to separate yourself from them or from people like that. And there comes a time when you know from your discernment that you are not evil, that you do not desire to do evil, or you no longer desire to be wicked and evil and do things that God um, that that God says that people who do these things are deserving of death. God gets to say that. God gets to say that. We do not get to say that. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow, because I have a hard time swallowing that pill. And the things that have been done to me, or the things that I've encountered in wicked people, are not um I don't even know really how to word this, but I feel that what what some people have to deal with and have to like work out in their spirit with God is far worse than anything I've ever had to deal with, and I'm struggling and I'm struggling. So I feel like I really needed this in my spirit. I needed this because I need to understand that no matter what someone does, I we cannot as we can't like we cannot stand in condemning judgment. Obviously, you're a person who has done a terrible thing to me. I now know that you have done something terrible to me, and I get to, that's valid. Like, it's not saying that these people do terrible things, and if you don't smile at them and you don't make them feel good about the terrible things that they're doing, then you're standing in judgment of them. No, that's not what this is saying. This is a spiritual thing. This is something between you and God, and somebody does not get to come in between you and God. Someone does not get to put their feelings and their like expectations of you in front of whatever is going on between you and God. They don't get to do that. And so I'm not saying God just wants you to smile on their face and just deal with it. No. All I'm saying is that from a spiritual point and in your heart, there you have to give it over to God. You have to look at God and look at who God is and understand that God is not a human being, and that you cannot put the same expectations that you would a powerful human being on God, because God is not, first of all, he's not only powerful, he's righteous, he's holy, and he's also sovereign. So that cuts the tie. Like, there are no human expectations on God. You just have to look at God, and this is a personal decision that we all make. You either look at God at who he is, and you love him, and you stay loyal to him, and you refine yourself to convert to his ways, or you end up despising God. And it says it right here in the word. If you look at God and you see that he's not doing what you think he should be doing, and you hate that and you despise that, and it makes you draw away from him, then that is what you're doing. And let me tell you, this is why Christianity is watered down. This is why. Because there's so many people who are afraid of that. Like, oh no, you can't tell people that. You can't expect that. Why not? Why can't we expect it when this is what God is expecting? This is what God has laid out. God is not ashamed of his word. God is not ashamed of his sovereignty. God is not ashamed of the deficit between humanity and God. He sent his only son to pay that debt. So God isn't ashamed of the word, and we can't be ashamed of God. And it's this is but this is why Christianity is offensive, because these people don't want to be accountable, and they also, and on the opposite end of that, these people don't want to see that God is not just a weapon of mass destruction, just going along bodying people for you. So on both ends, you're just going to have a bunch of people who don't want to hear it, who don't want to hear it, who do not want to hear it, that don't want to hear it. And that is a tough place to be in. That's why we need our Father. That's why we need the Holy Spirit. That's why we need Jesus. That's why we need everything that God has given and everything that God does, because it is a burden. It is a price to pay. Jesus suffered on that cross, and like, we are standing in his place suffering, and he knows it, and God knows it, and we know it. But the love of God is going to overcome that suffering. That the love of God is going to fill in all of the blanks. We just need to have faith in him, and we just need to let him be God. And we just need to be the obedient followers and vessels and children, and just love him and uphold him and be faithful to him, even when it's hard, or even when it singles you out, even when it doesn't give you accolades and glory, especially when it doesn't give you accolades and glory, because Jesus sure didn't get that. So yeah, that's it.